we do have to mention this, and I think Jordan would probably have the most to say about this.
I don't think he knows.
But no, he knows.
Alec
we
Baldwin.
had a very sad incident recently.
Alec
a legend
Baldwin.
is no more with us.
Oh,
Bert Newton passed away.
Yeah, that is actually so sad.
I'm so sad about that, but I'm happy that I got in one more Bert Newton reference just before he went.
Really? Did you?
I hope his face is actually up in the sky now and he's just sitting up there being like, good night, Melbourne.
Why the fuck didn't they put his face on the Opera House? That's what I want to know. For a week.
It should have been the moon. It really should have.
Yeah.
They should have
etched it into the moon. Elon Musk should have been like, I think it's the only appropriate thing to be done. Just etch it in the fucking moon.
Someone that
let's look at the scenarios.
for a foreigner who may or may not be on this table that is not very aware of Bert Newton's work, is only aware of the name, really. Can you give me a description of what I shall never experience, unfortunately?
Better yet, but let's do an act out.
Let's do this. Okay.
Moira. Can I be Moira?
Yes, we can, but also I need to say this. Bert Newton, celebrating a 40-year career of pretending to kiss a man on TV.
and
it works for me.
Thousands upon thousands of dollars for doing it.
But also, somehow, went into serious debt. What was that all about? What happened there?
I didn't know that.
How are you...
He went into serious debt?
Yeah, you're like Johnny Carson in Australia. And then there was a point where it was just like, ooh, Bert doesn't need this. And that's why he went and that's why he did Good Morning Australia for 11 years.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought
it was really sad, but he did it in class. He came up one day and he just goes, I know what everybody's thinking. Everybody's thinking he used to be the king of the Tonight racket and now he's doing morning television. Surely the next thing after this is death. And then the newscaster came in and goes, as always, he was right. You know, like some kind of response like that.
Well, you guys seem to be very jovial about this man passing away. So
it's
was
just,
he
you
a
can't
joke?
not be happy thinking about Bert Newton. I'm sorry.
He's
it's
a
just
funny man. Like, he was funny when he was trying to be funny. And he was funny,
even funnier when he was trying to be serious.
When he was trying to be like, he's just a.
So he was like a Johnny Carson type
He was not
character.
serious about anything except magnet mattresses. It wasn't anything.
Ali, this is the thing, right? I didn't know about the debt situation, and that, admittedly, makes it funnier. But I didn't know that. But this is what's the good thing about him is that he was on like Jordan said, like a daytime. What the fuck would you call it? And it was a fucking 3-hour long infomercial. It was just one of these shows for housewives to sit there and talk and to listen to him talk about.
On radio? Talkback radio?
No, TV.
Channel 10, Good Morning Australia.
Who did he even talk to? I think he talked to D-grade celebrities. That was it. It wasn't the news.
But then, weirdly, because he was a hangover from a golden age of television, every now and then on morning television, he'd be like, all right, today we have one of the boys from Cheese TV coming in, and then after that, if we've got time, Johnny Cash could fly by for a second.
Really?
Weird.
That's right. Every once in a while, it was like
some
the guy
massive
from
yesteryear Hollywood titan.
Yeah, like
just coming in and just being like, you still got those martinis with the umbrellas in it? Do we have that? No, we don't have the budget for it. Sorry. Anyway,
he was
here's
mates
magnet
with them?
mattress.
Was he like a Kyle type figure that was mates with all the Hollywood big
No. Yeah, he was mates with everyone, but he was so charming.
He was just from a time past where like at award ceremonies you wore a suit and a tie. The tie had sequins on it. It was glittery, and that was a big deal. But the thing that was funny about the daytime show was like it was undeniably a low quality program because after every guest, he was like, now here's Moira. And there was a fucking infomercial for a blender for 40 minutes. Like, that happened, that was half the show. Hours upon hours of some chick being like, when I'm cutting up my grapes, sometimes, when they slip out and you cut the top of your finger off, it's just a bother, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's a bother for everyone. Not anymore, though. With the Grape Cutter 1000, simply apply the grape to this fucking steel grate and Bob's your auntie. Oh, my God. And how much does it cost? Just 4 small payments of $59.99, Moira. You can't pass up on this offer. You heard it here first, people.
Yeah.
It was fucked.
That was fucked. But I think that we all sat around waiting for it to come back to Bert Newton because every Teen Times, he didn't push the envelope ever. He was a showman through and through from a yesteryear time.
Yeah, for sure.
And in fact, while they were announcing his, seismic career, they go from radio to nighttime television to morning television and then graced us with musical theatre. That was... really sad that was the king of television, and then that was supposed to be like the nice bookend of his career. Just
What? He did musical theatre?
side by side with none other than Robert Mills.
What did he do?
Huh?
Don't tell me he chucked a fucking Alan Jones and did Annie.
I think, and don't quote me here, but I think he was the wizard in Wizard of Oz. But yeah,
oh my God.
I think we all hung in because he didn't push the envelope too much, but he did have a little cheeky side. And every now and then, after Moira would be saying, get yourself these new cappuccino infusers. All you need is water and it tastes like milk. And then it'd come back and then Bert would just go, thank you, Moira, that looks delicious.
Yes.
Anyway, here's some actual ads.
Yeah,
he
would grill her, and how good's this? I specifically remember this because you would watch it if you you chucked a sickie and you were home from school because there was nothing else on TV. I didn't have Fox, so you didn't have to watch that. It was like it was grim. But I remember,
but he got us through it.
He did.
He was the navigator. He was the boatman in Haiti.
He was. And Ali, you're completely right. Anyone watching, you don't know what we suffered so you could survive. But I still remember it was the end of this. I don't know, being on that fucking show for 20 fucking years, and like it was coming to an end, and he started to up the ante in terms of how hard he was grilling Moira. And I remember there was for a week he grilled her hard. This poor lady just does infomercials, some bullshit blonde lady I don't have a personality, yay. And he said, he goes like this. He would segue into, I only remember one, but he would segue out. It was just segues. Basically, the show should have been called Segue.
Featuring Bert Newton.
Featuring Bert Newton. And he goes, and some guys come in and it's just like, today it's like, so what are these, Tasmanian seals about? And there's some Steve Irwin going they're this big they are. And if you get in the ocean with one, we wouldn't have too much fun. And then Bert goes, yeah, lovely. Speaking of trained seals, here's another one. Moira. Speaking of trained seals, here's another one for you. Moira. He just called her a trained seal. And she can't come back because that was all pre-recorded.
No right of reply.
Zero. And I remember seeing that.
Could she reply anyway?
No, and I remember seeing that and just being like, a king has left us. It's so funny.
Yeah, that was great.
I still don't know if you guys liked him or you like him as a meme.
Look, it's a fine line, dude.
It's hard to know. It's the greatest praise anyone from Gen Y could give, which is exactly what you
kind of
said.
is, isn't it? It's weird. It's just like, what a joke. Love him. It's weird. It is weird. Yeah. It's like it's pathetic of our generation being like, oh, that Squidward meme printed on my fucking tombstone. Like, what the fuck is wrong with us?
It was really strange though, because the height of his career probably was the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, which I didn't know anything about, obviously. I didn't even know he was... Dude, I thought he started his career on that show. I swear to God. If someone was like, who is this guy?
He just walked in at, 59?
Yeah.
And just, I'm sitting down here. All right, roll the cameras.
That's pretty much what I thought. That's what I thought.
You didn't know anything about him other than that?
Nothing.
So, you didn't know that he was a television legend?
No.
Did you assume that
I knew that. I saw him on TV.
Saw him on TV.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was the closest thing that we did have to a Tonight Show at that point.
I didn't know he did anything. Did he really? Let's be honest. Did he? What did he do before? What was his radio thing? I feel like he just did some awards.
No, he did. Huh?
He just
He
introduced some
presented
awards.
Logies, apparently.
Yeah, he presented Logies.
He did that well.
But that's all he did, right? That was it. He got into the Logies.
That's actually the only
he was
way
on the
how I know
Tonight
it.
Show. There was a Tonight Show in Australia. There was Graham
Hey,
Kennedy.
it's Saturday.
Huh?
Hey, it's Saturday.
No, that was the Weekend Tonight show.
We didn't have a Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
It was black and white days. It was back when Australia had an actual industry.
Whoa.
And it was Graham Kennedy and Bert Newton. And if you go back and watch it, dude, I'm a big fan of Johnny Carson, but there was an American that they brought in after. Do you know about this? I was telling Ali about this. The big Graham Kennedy incident was he had two moments that were extremely controversial in his career. The first one was he's doing that bullshit little infomercial stuff that they had to do even at nighttime because it's Australia. Yeah. So prime time, they still had to do it.
What?
Yes.
So what? It was just like, thank you, Keith Richards. Now here's Moira.
Well, the rest of the world was playing like NBA finals and the Olympics. We were watching Blender ads.
Yes. In between,
that's
really
the backbone
good
of Australia.
on the fly. Like
Infomercials.
it was friendly Geordies. It was friendly Geordies. They just go down and be like, go down to the op shop and get something. Hey, you got a little king hat. All right, we'll do a skit about being a king.
Okay.
It was just on the fly. They were unbelievably creative,
good,
both of them.
That sounds good.
They were great. You go back and you watch it, and
What year are we talking?
70s,
Okay.
60s,
Okay.
maybe the 60s. Then Bert Newton got his own show after that with an American that they shipped in, and he was good as well. He was good,
Right.
but Bert Newton kept the show together. But Graham Kennedy had two moments. One of them was the infomercial incident where he decided to make a taste tester of, they had, I think it was dog food in one and then some other type of food that they were feeding him, and he was just...
It is friendly Geordies.
Yeah. And he got it switched. So then he tasted the actual food. So it was labeled like, this is dog food. And then he ate the dog food and was going, oh, this is delicious. This is amazing. And then he fed the advertised food that he was supposed to be shilling. And then he was like, and pretended to vomit on stage. And so obviously Kerry Packer cracked the shits. There was this massive meeting. Graham Kennedy went up and was like, well, I'm supposed to make people laugh. I don't get it. And they were just like, you don't get sponsored, you're king here, mate. And they were about to kick him out. And then they saw the phones light up and everyone was like, I want the dog food. Get me the dog food. The one that tastes worse than that.
No.
And so it completely changed television in Australia because they realized that what happens in America doesn't translate to here. People like things getting taken the piss out of. Yeah. And then after that, the show got really loose. But then in the 70s, when he really didn't start giving a shit, and apparently he used to just drink during the show a lot.
Yes.
And then he just goes up and he goes, hey, Moira, I've got a bird impression for you. This is Graham Kennedy. And then he goes, this is a crow. And then it cuts to a picture of a crow. And then off screen, he just starts going, fuck. Everyone loses it. And then he lost his job because of that. He spiraled into Great Depression because he was just like, I'm not on showbiz, what am I? You know, like, and so he had a really tragic life after that.
Oh my God.
Bert Newton took over after that.
Yeah.
And that's where he shone.
You're kidding
Yeah,
me.
and
So
then
he replaced him.
He didn't replace him. He was the side act. He was the Andy Richter to Conan.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then he became Conan after that.
Whoa.
But he had a much more commercially friendly. He was a Hamish and Andy of the 80s and 70s. Really safe. Yeah. But that's not, and as I'm always saying, that's not an indictment on someone. I like the edginess of Graham Kennedy. That was great. But I also do think that it's amazing to have somebody there that's just so brand safe but can still be entertaining.
Yeah, it's a skill.
So we really have lost someone here. He had a great turn of phrase. It was pretty remarkable how quick the guy was. Mm-hmm. And there's just...
Do you remember?
There's no one like him anymore. That's what's sad about it. It's just, it's the industry. What? Go on.
Sorry. Continue.
No, continue.
I just remembered one of his best gags. Do you remember by the end he started to wear a hairpiece, and then sometimes for the gag, someone would just be like, say something about like, oh yeah, something about hair, and then he sometimes be like, and just pull out some of his hair and just give it to him like, here you go, just a clump of hair, and just fucking give it to him.
No, this one as well. This one. I think it was the Logies being like, I'm just so nervous up here, if you excuse me. And then he took his hairpiece off and then started using it as a handkerchief. I'm like, there you go.
So he was a funny bit. All right.
No, he really
Dude, you know what?
was.
I'm gonna
There
go
was
back.
another.
I'm gonna go back
this
and watch
is a
it.
classic Bert
You should too.
Newton
You should
gag.
watch some of his shit.
I think a lot of his humor was just constantly alluding to, is he a homosexual or not? Back in the day when you just weren't allowed to be a homosexual, right?
Yeah.
And there was just always these kind of gags, like with the Logies, where one guy came up to get the Logie, I can't remember who it was, with his co-host who was a woman, and then they give each other a kiss, and then Bert Newton goes, may I? And then she leans in for a kiss, and then he goes to the man, he's like, come here, you.
Such a good
The original Borat.
Yeah,
the original Borat, exactly.
And he kind of was, actually, because that was his secret sauce. It was both him and Graham Kennedy, they understood that, which is that, what is it?
Nothing. His phone was vibrating and I was getting it.
Go on.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
He understood the secret source of live television, which is that it's great when things are going wrong. So they used to have this little... That's what was so good about their dynamic. They used to try and trip each other up constantly.
Right.
And that's what created the moments. But, yeah, the overarching thing that's sad about it, I think, is that he was the product of an industry in Australia that actually had an entertainment industry, as opposed to just exactly what you're talking about now, which is just these bland characters that sit there and go, oh, so the Queen's got some nice photos of herself there. It's a lovely hat.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll go into the ad and we'll come back and talk about the Queen some more. That's morning television now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had skills back then that were developed from years and years of being able to screw up on television with a professional crew around them. And so I don't think that we'll see another Bert Newton in Australia, which does actually... It's nice to have those people around.
Yeah, man. It's sad.
And this is the other thing as well, is that it's amazing because, say my mum, for instance, was a punk in the 80s, and there was that massive cultural divide between people that had mullets and listened to Michael Jackson and people that are like, that sucks. I know, people with mohawks that say, fuck Michael Jackson, that's mad. Those people, right? Even those, the punks, they're just like, yeah, fuck everything, fuck the system. Oh, Bert Newton tonight's on, sick.
So he was
Everyone loved him. No one hated that man.
bipartisan support.
Bipartisan support. You can't find a character like that anymore.
No, he was...
Well, that's sad. But like, at least this was the best homage to Bert Newton.
Probably, well, better than fucking Channel 7's.
Better
Fuck.
than Channel 7.
What? Was Channel 7 just like, he was only here for 2 weeks. There's nothing to note to say.
No.
Just forgot his entire stint on Channel 9.
Well, you know that whole thing of just kind of like, they're like, here's him on radio, here's him on TV, and here's him on daytime TV. Okay, it's been 70 seconds. Truly missed. Coming up next, a puppy born in the suburbs of Queensland. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, I'm going to move on to a puppy.
Oh, okay. Go on.
All right.
No.
Matt.
This is-